allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. We have can we call the roll?
Sure. Councilmember Connolly.
Here.
Councilmember Elovitz. Councilmember Sierra.
Here.
Vice Mayor Bauman.
Here.
And Mayor Andrusik.
Here. And the records show that Mr. Elovitz has an excused absence. Any reordering of tonight's agenda?
No, sir.
Good. At this time, we will work with public comments. Any person may address the council on any subject pertaining to city business, including all items on the agenda not listed as a public hearing, including the consent agenda and closed session. No action may be taken or matters raised during public comment. And I do have one speaker slip from Barbara Connect. Please, Barbara.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and distinguished council members. I'm here tonight to just kind of present and do a little history of what our city ordinance has become. It was all started in discussion in 2007, and you've got 3 different layers of a lot of blah, blah, blah. But just to break it down, that I did do my homework, that on November 28th of 2008, the city ordinance for parking recreational vehicles, i.e. trailers, boats, whatever, in your yard was amended from having to have these such items behind a fence or on the side of your house out of sight from the street to, as long as you had a hard surface in your yard, anywhere in your yard, you were allowed to then park said recreational vehicles. So the history is all there. So there's this packet of pictures that I'd like to just quickly go over. This is the latest. So this is what's happened in the last 8 years to our amended the item that now lets recreational vehicles be parked in your yard. And this is the latest, and this happens to be, of course, my neighborhood, is the reason I'm here, is that this trailer has now just recently been put on this corner lot. So if you turn the page, you can see that the trailer is sitting about 4 feet up from the sidewalk, which makes it approximately 20 feet high from the sidewalk. And it's on a corner. This gentleman is complying with all of the regulations. So this is what happens when you leave it to someone's discretion as to what they put in their yard. They put in their yard. As we turn the page, we see that that is the side view from the street. So the poor people that get to live across from him, thank heavens I don't. This is what they see every day. As you turn the page, I just took a few pictures of what the example of what is happening in our community, and it may not be happening in your neighborhood, but not to say that it won't. And then, so then there's like boats in their yard and then boats in their driveway. So I guess what I'm asking, I've got 39 seconds to go, is to please bring up the discussion for possibly re-looking over this agenda and this item to make it a little more tasteful in the eyes of the neighbors who have to live with this every day. So I implore you, I beg you to consider having to have a rein on people that don't necessarily have good sense. My second thing, quickly, I've got 7 seconds, is that this trailer is 20 feet off the sidewalk. It's on the corner, and so I'm going to appeal to your danger zone and say that if that tire goes out and it falls onto the street, it could potentially hurt somebody. Item 4 on the agenda says that nothing should be of danger to the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara. We appreciate the visuals. They are very telling, so thank you. It'll be part of the record, and we'll perhaps have a comment after Mrs. Dale. Thank you, Judith.
Hi, Judith Dale. I promised my neighbors I would come speak about, in Thumbelina Village, there's little white marks all over the roads, and so they're wondering what those mean and what's going to happen.
I actually thought there'd been an accident. I saw those, and they usually mark what the tires
Yeah,
were.
and a bunch of them are tuning in, so I was just wondering if we could tell them what's going to happen. Hopefully, it's going to just be
Rose?
resurfaced, or?
Rose has a,
Sure. The Thumbelina neighborhood is the next neighborhood on our pavement management. So we are preparing to do the plans and specifications right now. So we're noting the locations of cracks and the areas that are alligatoring, places that need R&R. So those were just kind of markers in the street so we can see, did we check those, did we see those, and have we passed through that area?
thank you.
Great.
Then, I guess,
So it's just going to be resurfaced and
Yes.
done.
We're looking at alternatives for what the best means to prolong the life, repair the surface for that neighborhood.
Great, and the neighbors will be delighted. I told them that's probably what was going to happen, but that I would ask,
Thank
for
you.
sure. Thanks.
I do not have any other speaker slips. Is there anyone else that wants to speak that isn't on the... Seeing none, we will close the public comment. Then I would ask, thank you, Barbara. I was just going to ask if we had consensus for staff to bring this to a future...
Well, you have to do it under council items, not under public
Oh.
comments.
Thank you. And then I had a question for Rose. If, following up on the markings in the street, do you, time-wise, will they be there till they blow away, or are we scheduled pretty soon to... There is a lot of marking in there, but I don't think it's a traffic hazard. It just...
No, they're not traffic hazards,
I
nor
understand.
would they be confused for traffic payment marking. No,
Are
the
we
work
6
is
months out,
scheduled,
or-
no, probably about 6 months by the time we finish the plans and specifications and go
Okay.
out to bid.
So they'll more than likely dry up before-
Our goal is to hopefully be in construction in the fall.
All right. Thank you. Any comments from council? All right. With that, we'll go to the consent calendar. We have agenda items, the minutes of last meeting, agenda items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull 4.
All right.
I
Mrs.
just had
Sierra
a
is
couple
pulling item
of
4.
questions.
Okay. So with that, do you
So I'd make a
perhaps...
motion to accept items 1 through 6, excluding 4.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Bauman.
Aye.
Councilmember Connolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Sierra.
Aye.
And Mayor Andrusik.
Aye. Thank you. Item 4.
I just had a real quick question. This is the resolution of City Council of City of Buellton providing workers' compensation coverage for certain city volunteers pursuant to provisions of Section 3363.5 of Labor Code. And you said right now there's no financial impact. My question, I guess, is I know we don't have too many volunteers, but we do get volunteers at certain city events. If when we do have them and we need to provide workers' comp, that will impact the finances, won't it? Or is it just one set fee that we pay for workers' comp no matter how many people?
Well,
That was the question.
the work comp premium goes up based on how many claims we have. We haven't had a claim since 2011, so our claims are
Yeah.
pretty good. So
Okay.
2 days ago. But minus that, our JPIA wanted us to do this
Oh, I think it's a great
resolution.
idea to cover.
And because the thing is if we don't do it, then JPIA is on the hook. If we do adopt the resolution, then work comp is going to cover the city. So JPIA wants any volunteer to fall under the same umbrella
Right.
as an employee would.
So until they get hurt, there is no cost then?
There is no cost. Yeah.
Thank-
And like I said, premiums are based on claims. So
And to follow that, then, there's no assessment then for the events as they're being held for insurance coverage,
No.
since there will be no
no.
claim.
And this just puts volunteers under the same umbrella, and it protects the city and also JPIA. So they were the ones
Thank you.
that wanted this moved forward.
Thank you very much. With that, I move to approve consent calendar item number 4, resolution number 1616.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Sierra.
Aye.
Councilmember Connolly.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bauman.
Aye.
And Mayor Andrusik.
Aye. Thank you. We do not have any presentations tonight that I'm aware of.
Nope.
Public hearings, there are none. Council member comments.
I just had one.
Mrs. Sierra?
I've had some complaints about our street sweeper. And even though we've gone from the parking lot sweeper to an actual street sweeper, I've gotten complaints from people in Thumbelina and parts of the other side of the freeway that are saying he's not going to the side. He's pretty much driving down the middle of the street. And I asked if that was because of parked vehicles, and they said if you follow him and you watch him, he's not going in and out from vehicles. So I just thought I'd bring it to staff's attention.
Appreciate that. Something has come up. I was looking at a neighborhood that has a high number of basketball hoops in the street up against the curb, and I think I'm pretty sure we have a prohibition of that.
Yes, and our code enforcement officer has some tags, so he'll be going out and taking a look at all of those.
Because I think, we go to the trouble to pay the street sweeper. It's not his fault, so he gets paid if he doesn't have to do it, and the leaves are out there. So, thank you. Well, that'll just go through code enforcement, and it doesn't have to be spot identified. He'll do it as he's...
Yeah, and we usually tag them, and if they don't pick it up in a certain time period, we confiscate it, and they can come get it.
Whoa. Okay.
It's the way it's historically has been. So
Better have a big guy confiscate.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other council comments?
No, we don't.
I think then, let's see. Thought I had one, but... Okay. Council items. And I think with that, it would be the bringing back...
You want just for discussion, not an
Yes.
ordinance coming back?
No, just for discussion, so people that are interested could come and there might be a better idea. I mean, I realize this meets the needs. I mean, everyone struggled with a hard surface, gravel. The bigger problem, the last time they were approaching the sidewalk, I think the biggest change we made was moving the tongue of the vehicle at least 5 feet off the curb, because people walking can hurt themselves walking into those things. But this is just
That's
one
a
of those
consensus.
things that we probably need to
Sure.
Yep.
find out if we have a better way to address it.
Yep.
And maybe he wants to cooperate. That would be good. Okay, that was council items. Any written communication?
No, sir.
Thank you. Committee reports?
Does the ad hoc fall under that? Our library ad hoc? Not really.
I would,
Yes?
yeah, why not?
Okay. Well, I think you all got Mark's email. We met, and we're still arguing over how the county's going to split funding up. Solving thinks that they should get a larger share than we do, and of course, we don't agree with that. So it's going to go to the Library Advisory Committee in September, and they will make a recommendation to the county, which the county will probably follow. So in the meantime, Solvang has agreed they've upped their ante another $20,000, and if we use the reserves for the Buellton, we've already put in so much money. They do want, what was it, another $20,000 more?
I don't think it was that high. I'll have to take a...
I think it was
Okay.
like 8 or 9,000.
8 or
Yeah,
9,000.
we use reserves.
For a full-time supervisor to staff just the Buellton Library, and we can use that money from reserves, so we won't be dipping into our budget.
Their reserves, not our reserves.
The library has reserves.
Okay.
Anyway, so it looks like we may be getting a full-time supervisor, but we'll still have to go through the Library Advisory Committee to determine the split.
That is correct.
And I'm hoping the city manager and the mayor will be there, as well as Mr. Bauman to represent.
I will be there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm
Just
sorry.
A couple of add-ons on that is that it became apparent in the meetings that even if we didn't want to stay open another day, that the sharing of the branch supervisor between the two libraries was not working out. So one way or the other, we're headed to the direction of having our own anyway. And also to note that while in our conversations, we really didn't get an idea of the percentages they were looking for solving. In the newspaper, I guess Joni was saying that she was looking for a 60-40 split.
You read that too, huh?
Interesting there, but we firmly believe that it should be 50-50, and that's what we're going to go discuss.
Okay.
Then, while those discussions are ongoing, and this being an election year, do you know if anyone's proposing an assessment or something more equitable to meet?
You mean like a tax assessment or something?
Not just a tax assessment, that the county, I think this comes from property tax, doesn't it? Our pro rata, our per person allotment is...
I believe so.
And it came out and went up a little bit one time.
They authorized
this
it.
year.
Yeah, they did it in one
50 cent more.
like 10 years ago?
It's something like 780, if I read the article correctly.
Try to make up some of the shortfall.
Okay. I think that has been, because it was in the 5s, and I think, and then okay, so there's 7. So I guess we'll live with those numbers. I just thought everybody wants revenue, but we've got to find a source for it. Okay. You have any committee report?
I have no committee report.
The first Tuesday of the month, I attended Visitor Bureau Economic Development. Everything is pretty much in a holding pattern, not knowing where we are with the renewal of the contract. But I wanted to let you know that they feel like all parties do that are come to work, that they'd like to know have a little bit of earlier than a 30-day notice, I guess, saying whether everything's changed direction. So I would hope we would have a...
Mr. Mayor, you might want to mention the California League of Cities. Sorry. No, please.
No, you go right ahead.
No. I didn't have it under the comments, so I was hoping you were going to bring it up.
We attended in Monterey. Sierra and I were at the conference, and it was hands-on operations. The one thing that I brought back with Holly, and I'll hand over a template that they have. They had working documents of how you fold together city finances, and it was Walnut Creek was the city, had the city manager there defending it, and people that different departments that they operate on. And one of the considerations, and the fellow actually mentioned, he said, how many people enjoy every year doing their budget? And so then he said they're doing 2-year budgets, and they've found them to be very much more productive and kind of forestalls the peaks and valleys of requesting for funding. So it might be a future conversation, and you may run across it, Carolyn, if you run across it. And I think it would be good for the council to get your weigh in on it and see if it. I mean, it's a daunting task, and perhaps a 2-year budget would be helpful for it.
We'll take a look at it.
Was there anything else?
No, I just thought the classes were really, really good. There were a couple on economic development and one on working with city staff, and it was a very informative. Yeah,
And
I
it
really
wasn't as
enjoyed
huge as the annual meetings are, so there was a lot of one-on-one and the breakout, and there was always time to go up and understand what he was trying to impart on us, because you're trying to read the printed literature and listen to the speakers, and it does move. There's a lot of information in those events. In fact, my biggest thing, and you can't have it, wouldn't want to stay an extra day or two, but they'll have 25 topics and time for four time frames or 5 time frames. So you really have to get it early, and I think they were early in their the agenda. They had the agenda for topics, and they had their speakers. So it was easy to, before the conference, get get acclimated to what you want to zero in on. So, thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
At business items, we have agenda item 7. Mr. McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The Buellton Historical Society would like to place historical markers at various locations in the city to signify and honor significant events in Buellton history. So while we are working on selecting the exact locations, what I thought would be appropriate would be for the council to approve a form of an agreement between the city and the Historical Society, which would be responsible for designing and constructing and placing these markers at the appropriate location and also maintaining them on a going forward basis. So what you would be doing here would be approving a form of an agreement that we would then finalize with the Historical Society, and if the Historical Society has any comments or changes that are relatively minor in nature, then we can go ahead and make those changes, execute the agreement, and move forward with the historical marker being placed at for example, at the library or at City Hall. There may be other locations, and that's something that we can talk to them about. But again, the item before you today is just to approve the form of agreement, which would include, as you see in the staff report, the design, as we understand it, of these historical markers. So in approving the form of an agreement with the Historical Society, you would also be, in effect, approving the proposed design. If there's any change in that, obviously we'll let you know, but we believe that's the basic format for these historical markers.
Thank you. Any questions, Fred?
No, and I hope this isn't going too far off topic, because it reminds me of something I was speaking with Visitors Bureau a little bit about, and that is I was driving in Huntington Beach around July 4th and saw something that I've seen in other towns and wanted, not just the historical markers, which Huntington Beach is a beautiful area to drive through here, but obviously you're living near there. In addition to that, along the poles, there's photos of and banners of a lot of the young people who are serving in the military, and it's called Hometown Heroes, and they have them hanging. And I know we couldn't do the whole valley, we have so many represented, but I think it's something we might want to consider along with this, the idea of perhaps adopting those banners. And I know it'd take a lot of work on a lot of our part, but consider hanging those banners on Navajo flags or anywhere around here, which shows some of our youth who happen to be serving in the armed services. Just a thought.
Just let you know, Santa Maria has that. So
They do too?
you can go on College Drive in the Crossroads area. They have those up too.
Perfect.
So a closer example that we could.
We might be able to incorporate it. We had that conversation about our military memorial island, we pretty much called it, where we have the statue for.
And I think this may be maybe another topic to bring up at a
Probably
future
so.
council member meeting.
I don't mean to bring it up for
Sure.
any other reason than I think that it would be good
But I
discussion
think-
topic.
Okay.
We'll talk to the chamber and see, and
Okay.
maybe coordinate with them and then come
Sounds
back to
good.
the council.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, if I might?
Yes.
The Buellton Historical Society meets the first Monday of every month, and our meeting, I'm publicity chair on the Historical Society. I brought up the draft to the board and explained what it was, and they were very excited. It's what you're putting, what the request, what the draft and what it's about is totally, that's perfectly agreeable to them. So I just wanted to let you know that they really do want to get going on this. They've got one of the plaques up. I see they've got a picture. You've got a picture of Red Rose Court here. They've got one up at Pea Soup Anderson's and one over at Ellen's. And the city and the library were the last two. We did 5 of them. So they're very gung-ho to get this going, and they're very agreeable to the contract.
Right, well, with this agreement in place, then we'd be able to move forward with that on both locations.
So the next thing is I'll just work with Rose in getting the description of the location into the agreement, and then we'll bring it forward
Okay.
to the
And
Historical Society
And
to
I do
sign.
know that they plan on asking the city, they want to do one for Avenue of Flags with a little brief history of Reagan's visit and why the flags are flying.
We
and
can include
would
that.
would have to find a spot.
We can
But
amend, we can always amend the
that's
agreement
what
with
I'm
another
thinking.
location.
That's what I'm thinking, because that's going to be down the road a little ways. But I figured we could amend.
Great.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My only comment would be on item 2A, where it talks about the maintenance of the designations. I don't know whether there's a way to be more specific about the appearance. You know, signs can be clean and attractive, but faded. You know, that's the main thing I'm worried about, something fading and just looking old. I don't know if it could be like new condition or what the words would be exactly, but just to make sure that it's clear that's what we're looking for.
Councilmember Baumann, we'll take a look at that and see if we can't tighten up that particular section to address that concern about fading and making
Or
sure that
if there's a
appears.
person who's, makes the final call on that sort of thing, maybe city manager would point out issues or something like that.
And again, I don't think they'd have any problem with that. The whole point, they've got 5 that are completed, they're working on 5 more, and eventually we want a walking tour. We want to be able to have a pamphlet where people can walk around Central and Avenue of Flags, and I think Mendenhall's is one of them, just walk in the local area with a directional map. So I'm sure they don't want something that's going to look
Yeah, no, I'm
old
sure
and
they
ratty,
don't.
too.
I'm sure of that. I think it's a great idea. I love it, just as long as we're going through the trouble of putting together an agreement.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You need a consensus or a vote,
Why
Steve?
don't we do a motion and a vote?
Okay.
A voice vote?
Yeah, well, a voice vote.
May I make the motion to move forward with the agreement with the Buellton Historical Society to place historical markers on public property to commemorate significant events and people in Buellton history?
I would second that.
If you will call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sierra.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Baumann.
Aye.
Councilmember Connolly.
Aye.
And Mayor Anderson.
Aye. Thank you. And with that, when I moved my papers, I saw I had a comment for public benefit. Received a notice for Dogs Days of August coming up. Dogs Days of August is a month-long spay-neuter promotion being offered by the Responsible Pet Owners Alliance. Dog Days in August provides Santa Barbara County dog owners the option of getting their dogs spayed or neutered, rabied vaccines, microchipped, and licensed for just $60. If you've gone through these expenses, this is a great opportunity, and I wanted people to know it began. The promotion starts August the 1st, but space is limited, and appointments will fill up fast. So I think this will probably be on our website, but it's on the public health press release that just came out 2 days ago, and I didn't want to wait till our next meeting to have you lining up for your spaying.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, and what?
Bob Barker always said that.
Oh, Bob Barker.
Yeah.
I couldn't resist.
So that I thought was a timely, and I appreciate your condolence of my stepping between 7 and 8. With that, we would go to item 8. Or
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of City
Works.
Council.
Mrs. Hess.
For you have the acceptance of the 2013-2014 road maintenance project. This is an old remnant project from a couple of years ago. The project was initially awarded in August of 2014, and it was basically the slurry seal and restriping of Avenue of Flags. During the original notice of completion for that project, we had some issues with the chipping of the green pavement markings for the bike lane. We've been working back and forth with Valley Slurry Seal and their subcontractors regarding the work, and they've recently just completed the restriping of the bike lanes. The condition, we've been monitoring it for some weeks now to make sure that it's not flaking up again as it did previously. So everything has been working out fine. The condition looks well, and we are bringing the notice of completion back to council for approval tonight. With that, we recommend the notice of completion be approved, and I'm available to answer any questions you have.
2013.
I just have one question. So it's my understanding the green layer that they put down this time is a different material than they used the last time? Is that right?
It's essentially the same material. The way they applied it was different. They used a different machine, and then a little bit more time steadily applying that paint and the chip
So a
material.
more thorough application.
Right, right.
It looks good.
Conditions of the road, the paving program for discussion, I would hope we could have a comment on the intention, because we're getting a lot of comments in the way of complaints on the paving, which is, we've always said it's Highway 246, just bumpy as can be. I visited with Ms. Hess today. The citizens they're not able to accept that, but she thought there was a very short window for that being brought into compliance while we're with road maintenance.
But it's not associated
It's
with
not
this
associated with
item,
this
though.
project.
Okay.
It's not, this is only Avenue, okay. I just want everybody to be clear that that's a different
Right.
project.
Mr. Mayor, I just had a quick question.
Okay.
When we brought the complaints about the first green, the paint that was blistering and peeling, and we'd been told that the company had received almost all of the payment, that the check had already been issued to the people that put the green on.
We hold a retention throughout the entire project. So the retention has been, and that's not just for the paint, it's for the entire road project.
Okay.
So that we have retained in our funds, and we haven't even made that payment yet. So with the notice of completion, approval and acceptance tonight, then in 35 days, we're able to issue the release of
I'm just
funds.
wondering, how much did it cost the city? Did the contractor come out and redo this at their expense?
That's at their expense.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yes.
Good job. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, they wanted to make sure that the city was satisfied with the product that they have as well.
Thank you. I'm happy.
With that, would you-
I'd make a motion for the acceptance of the 2013-2014 road maintenance project.
A second.
thank you. Please call the roll. We have a motion and a second.
Vice Mayor Bauman.
Aye.
Councilmember Connolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Sierra.
Aye.
And Mayor Andrusik.
Aye. Thank you. Mr. Brzezinski.
Honorable Mayor.
City Manager's report.
Members of the City Council, a reminder that the specific plan for the Avenue of Flags will be presented this Saturday at 9 o'clock, and also next week, Thursday, at the 21st at 6 p.m. at the Planning Commission meeting. And then we'll schedule a City Council meeting to go over the comments we received at those two meetings, get the final direction from City Council, then start preparing the final specific plan. But the actual specific plan will be on the website tomorrow, the actual physical document. It's the actual document itself, and that's what we'll be presenting. The Conversion Technology Project, the Tahigas project, the County Board of Supervisors gave a go-ahead for the project either this week or last. And I'm meeting with Mark Schleck from the County Public Works tomorrow morning, along with Brad, to find out what our financial obligations are and what our penalties could be if we didn't meet our quotas as far as solid waste. So once I find out, we'll probably schedule something for him to make a presentation to the council, because there's always been an issue that we're a very small amount, and we do not want to be penalized if we don't meet the requirements. And now that it's public financing, there could be penalties assessed to all the cities associated with that. So we're going to get a briefing tomorrow, and then we'll bring it forward to council before any decisions are made.
And they'll have a window or a range that they expect we can be protected by, a not less than, or
I don't know yet.
exceed.
That's it's been a moving target, so we'll see what he briefs us on tomorrow.
To my knowledge, they haven't notified the people that have been on the committee for years, 2 years, maybe.
Well, I think it's a different committee.
They're not calling it
but
the Joint Task Force.
That's correct. It's Conversion
Renamed
Technology, yes. So I'll find out tomorrow, then we'll schedule for council, let you know what the ramifications are, and then the council would then decide whether they wanted to participate through an agreement with the county. But don't know all the details at this point, but I'll find out some tomorrow.
Thank you.
if you notice on 246 in the Twin Oaks area, there's some landscaping that is not city-owned. It's a strip of land that is all owned by private property, so we do not maintain it. We've contacted the 6 property owners and provided them easements for us to maintain, and we've received 2 of the 6 back. So we're trying to get the other 4 to agree to an easement for the city to maintain that landscaping, and then Valley Gardner will just take care of it. But until we get easements, there's liability issues if we go on private property.
I think we should just tell them that we will charge them to have our landscape.
There's an option in code enforcement to take care of it as well.
If they can't, if they're not going to do it.
2 choices.
Yeah, you can either sign the easement or we can bill you.
We're going to try, and the 2 people who signed, I think, are going to try to convince the other owners to participate. So we're moving forward on that, and hopefully we can get that.
And I've had conversation with one of the people that received that, so I wonder if we could draw all of the documents that have gone with that parcel, because there was issues about the height of the wall way back when. I'm just trying to see what the title, I haven't been able to find a title report for who owns that or what the obligations were.
Well,
I think there were some concessions given a long time ago that may have never gotten.
No, we've done the research, and it's the private property goes all the way out to the sidewalk, so it's not the city's easement area or public right-of-way. It's their private property for that particular subdivision only. So that's what we're trying to resolve.
Okay.
And the water and sewer rate study will be at your next meeting for direction. We're going to have, hopefully, our last oversight board meeting tomorrow, where the successor agency will be officially killed off. The state has agreed that it can be.
Yet, huh?
No, we have to go back and forth with the state. They have to give us blessings, and we have to go back. So this is the final one to get rid of the successor agency, and then the oversight board will be done, and that chapter will be finally closed.
The funeral will come. Has it been a 10-month wake?
Yeah. We have the application in for the criterium at the end of August.
Are we planning on doing what we've always done?
Unless that's what the direction has been from the council on that, and
Provide police.
provide police and the waiver of the deposit. But they paid the application fee.
He actually asked me a couple days ago what the city was doing.
Well, until the city agendizes it and brings it forward to change, that's been the direction on the
Terrific.
criteria.
Terrific.
Any wishes to change that?
We can't.
That's a great idea. I just hope it catches.
And the city golf tournament is next week, the 23rd, and the barbecue banana is the following on Thursday. That concludes my report.
Thank you. With that, our closed session announcement. Do you
Okay.
have
Yep.
an announcement?
We have one item for closed session. It's a conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9A. It's Terravant Wine Company versus City of Buellton and Environment in the Public Interest versus City of Buellton.
Tonight.
And that will recess to closed